Morning, everyone. Just a reminder, everyone, please turn off or silence all cell phones or electronic devices, please. This is a hearing of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Thorold for Thursday, August 17th, 2023. Everyone present will be given an opportunity to speak for or against the applications being heard. When given a chance to speak, you will only have 5 minutes, so please make sure to be as clear and consistent as possible. For your information, Committee of Adjustment is a public process. Personal information such as the applicant's name and property address, which is reported at a Committee of Adjustment meeting, is public information. Minutes of this Committee of Adjustment meeting will be received by Thorold City Council at a public council meeting and become part of the public record. Please address all your comments and questions through the chair. A copy of the decision will be sent to the applicant and agent or to any person who files a written request. Please write your name, address, and the file you are here for in the Zoom text box or on a piece of paper located in the council chambers. Agencies commenting on applications may request that certain conditions be imposed. Voicing objections to these conditions will not adversely affect the committee's decision. Committee of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body operating under the Planning Act, the Municipal Act, and the Statutory Powers Procedure Act, as well as various provincial regulations. Sections 45 and 50 of the Planning Act outline the circumstances surrounding the approval of minor variances and controlling the conveyance of land in Ontario, and the prevention of subdivision of the land except with governmental approval. The applicant, the minister, or any specified person or public body who has an interest in the matter may, within 20 days of the making of the minor variance decision, 20 days from the date of mailing of the consent decision, appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If the clerk would read the land acknowledgement now, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. The City of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hadewanderunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The City of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live.
Thank you to the clerk. Does any member have this of this panel have a pecuniary interest in any of the applications to be considered at this hearing?
No, Mr. Chair.
Seeing none. Is Mr. DiPaolo virtual this morning to the clerk?
There's no one waiting in the attendee list, so
thank you, and I have no conflict. May I have a motion from the committee that the agenda be adopted as presented? Mr. Pizzo, seconded by Mr. Daniels. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. May I have a motion that the minutes of May 18th be adopted as distributed? Moved by Mr. DeAngelo, seconded by Mr. Daniels.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. It should be the minutes of July 20th.
Yes? That's my fault for reading.
Yep.
Thank you.
No, just to clarify. Yep.
Same motion? Same mover, same seconder? Thank you. Madam Secretary, was notice given as required by the Planning Act?
Yes, sir, it was.
Are there any requests for withdrawal or adjournment?
No, there are not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The first application is D1319-2023. Madam Planner.
Good morning. So the application before you is for property located at 5 Cunningham Street in the city of Thorold. And the application is for a minor variance to permit the construction of an additional dwelling unit to the rear of the existing single detached dwelling. The lands are zoned residential second density special in accordance with zoning bylaw 2497. However, regulations relating to additional dwelling units fall under the new zoning bylaw 60/2019. The request is for from Part 3, Section 3.1 relating to accessory buildings and structures. The minimum lot coverage requested is being increased from 10% to 15%. And as well, the request is for an increase in the maximum height from 4.5 meters to 5.5 meters to allow additional height for the additional dwelling unit. The lands are located on the west side of Cunningham Street. There is a drawing showing the location of the additional dwelling unit on the property. All other regulations of the zoning bylaw will be met. The proposal meets the 4 tests of the minor variance meets the 4 tests of a minor variance under the Planning Act. And therefore, we are recommending approval of this application without conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Planner.
Okay.
It's not on either.
George Mallet, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
What do you have to add?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing? Okay. Questions or comments from the committee? Mr. Pizzo. Mr. Pizzo, the motion is the condition that the region put forward? You said with conditions. I didn't know what the conditions were. Oh,
There are no conditions attached to it's for a minor variance with no conditions.
Mr. Jackson, are you seconding?
No, I have a question, John.
We need to get a seconder first. If do you want
Sorry,
to
through you, Mr. Chair, if I can just a quick reminder to use the microphone so that everyone, yep, that's okay.
Sorry about that.
So, Mr. Jackson, why don't you second the motion, then ask your question?
I can second the motion, yes?
Okay.
My question is through you, John, to the gentleman here. The bottom part of the structure, it's going to stay intact?
Yes.
So you're going to remove the roof and then go
And
up?
just go up.
Well, okay, the upper floor is going to be a little wider than the bottom one then, is that correct?
Correct.
I see, okay. Just wanted to clarify that. It was a little vague on the drawing, so, okay.
I'm sorry, you're talking.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I think the planner would like to discuss maybe the regional comments.
Just a point of clarification, the region did provide some comments regarding requirement for archaeological. However, our archaeological investigation, they noted that the property is in an area that is known for archaeological sources. So, however, because it's an existing pad there's no disruption to the earth. So, in discussions with the region, they were fine with removing any kind of requirement for archaeological investigation.
Good.
Thank you. Further questions or comments from the committee? Seeing none, we have a motion on the table. We ready for the vote? I think we are. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to the next application, D1320, 2023, 211 and 213 Taylor Street. Madam Planner.
Yes, this application before you is for a semi-detached dwelling located in the R2 residential second density zone, requesting permission for a variance to the front yard setback from 7.5 meters to 4.8 meters. Sorry, got my papers mixed up. The configuration, the lands are located on the east side of Taylor Street between Mary Street and Clara Street. Because of the configuration of the dwelling units having protruding at the front with the garage sort of setback, it's felt that the the setback requirements to provide sufficient driveway situation and the detached garage will be maintained. So the requested variances are for the front portion of the house, as illustrated on the survey provided in the report. It's our opinion that the minor variances are indeed minor according to the Planning Act and meet the 4 tests, and we recommend approval of the variances as requested. Thank you.
Just a point of clarity, including the conditions you've included in your report?
There are no conditions attached.
No conditions on this one? Thank you. Who speaks on behalf of this application, please?
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Carl, CEO of Habitat for Humanity Niagara.
Welcome, Mark.
As you're aware, we're thrilled, and we've been building affordable housing in around Mary Street and Taylor Road. And our next project coming up is Taylor Road, which will be a semi that'll house 2 families in Thorold here. Like we said, the original designs, it is an awkward lot. One of the things about Habitat, we get kind of, awkward properties and the way the lot's kind of small. So we're going to be putting a semi on that property. And as you're aware, and you can see in the report, the setbacks going back to the old bylaw that's in effect have a minor variance so that we can put that, it'll be the best way to serve 2 families and to have affordable housing is to put a semi on the property, and that allows, it would also have a garage for the homeowners. It'll be a 2-story, but obviously by this report what we're looking for is the minor variance to allow us to build with the setbacks a little closer to the front lawn as necessary. So just say thank you to the committee. If you have any questions or anything, we'd be glad to. We do try to make our homes so they fit into the neighborhood as well too. So if you, there's been a development that's kind of, if you're looking at the property to the left, they're 2-story homes. There is some single stories, but we're trying to make it so it kind of all fits in and looks and blends in with the property. So this is ideal that we can serve 2 families with affordable housing, and they also have a garage and a 2-story property. It's just this minor setback, setback of the front lawn that's kind of, we would need you to allow us to do, and then we'd be on our way building this property just after the 20 days are over appeal period. Perfect. Any other questions, Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Carl. We'll find out. Questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none?
Mr. Chairman, I'm in favor of the build. I think it's a good build.
Good, thank you. Mr. D'Angelo?
Well, I'll second the motion.
I don't think he made a motion.
Oh, well, I thought he was. If not, I'll make a motion, so it's, okay.
Go ahead, Mr. D'Angelo.
Okay, I'll make a motion that application D13-20, D13-20-2023, 211 and 213 Taylor Street, be approved based on the review of the pertinent information and comments presented at this hearing, having conducted a site visit and for the reasons stated in the planning report.
Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo. Seconded by Mr. Pizzo. Thank you. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Thank you, Mr. Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I could just like to say thank you to the committee. I know we've been here a couple times in the last month or so
We'll probably see you again.
That's great to see. We really appreciate your support, and thank you for helping us out.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
The next application, D1321, 2023, Ontario Street, Lot 68, minor variance. Madam Planner.
Application before you is for a minor variance to permit the construction of a single detached dwelling with a rear covered deck on land zoned R2 in zoning bylaw 214097. The request for a variance is from relief from section 11.2.1G to permit the increase in lot coverage from 40% to 50%. The lands are located on the east side of Ontario Street, just north of the intersection of Clara and Ontario Street within the city of Thorold. The property proposed to be developed with a single detached dwelling meets all other requirements of the R2 zone. Just the covered deck puts them over the maximum building coverage from 40 to 50%. The proposed minor variance, in my opinion, meets the general intent of the official plan, the zoning bylaw, and the variances are considered to be minor according to the Planning Act, and accordingly, we recommend approval of the variance without conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Planner. Again, would you like to comment on the regional comments, that their conclusion?
Yes, so it has been flagged in this instance that there may be archaeological potential. However, it's a standard comment provided by the region, and these are existing residential lots of record. Therefore, there's really no mechanism to request this requirement for archaeological. Same with any distance from the CN Railway. It's an existing condition. The lands are zoned. There's no mechanism really for these requirements. So we've had these discussions with the region, and in future, they will be looking at a different mechanism to request these conditions.
Thank
In
you.
this instance, we can't really require them.
Thank you, Madam Planner. Appreciate the clarity. Who speaks on behalf of this application, please? If you could
I do,
identify
Paul
yourself.
Bursling.
Welcome. Do you have any questions or comments?
Nope.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the committee?
I have no problem.
Mr. Jackson,
I'd like to make a motion, John.
please do.
I make a motion for approval of this application based on the pertinent information and comments presented at this hearing and having conducted a site visit for the reasons stated in the Planning Act.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Mr. Daniels. Further questions or comments? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion? Welcome.
Thank you.
Our next application is D1008-2023, 77 Welland Street South, a consent application. Madam Planner.
Thank you. In this instance, it's an application before you for a partial discharge of the mortgage. The property was before you previously for a consent, which was approved with conditions. In this instance, the consent application is simply to allow for a partial discharge of the mortgage. The conditions as part of the consent will still be required, like the previous consent to create the 3 different lots, will still be required for the previous consent, but no conditions are attached. It is our opinion that the proposal represents good planning, and again, it's just to a mechanism to provide a partial discharge of the mortgage. Therefore, we are recommending approval.
Thank you, Madam Planner. Who speaks on behalf of this application, please? Mr. Clerk,
Through
do we
you,
have
Mr.
someone?
Chair, there is no one waiting online to speak.
Okay. Questions or comments from the committee members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pizzo.
there's no letter from the railway.
Pardon me? Is it- Yes. What? Yes, however, there was a previous consent, I think it was about a year ago. So the condition relating to the railway was included in the previous consent.
No, I don't think it was. She
But-
said she had okay to encroach on their property.
She's not encroaching on their property.
I asked a question, I said, did the railway comment on her application, and she said that, she had spoken to them verbally. Never heard of such a thing.
Mr. Pizzo, I think our secretary has clarification on that.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, the applicant did provide a copy of a letter from the railway with the previous application
Do you have it?
in the file.
I thought there was a problem with the river.
Do you want to see the letter, Mr. Pizzo?
Yeah.
Okay,
Secondly,
we'll, thank you.
I thought they had to do some turnabout here or something, and is that in the,
So that was a condition of the previous consent application, that the application before you today is simply for a partial discharge of the mortgage. So it's required to go through this consent process to permit that. It's just a mechanism for them to allow that. The previous consent applications created the 3 lots, one for the existing dwelling, one for a new dwelling, and a third parcel that is being conveyed to the city to permit the city to create the turning bulb.
that should be in this application.
Sorry, just through you, Mr. Chair, if you can please just use the microphone, Mr. Pizzo, thank you.
Sorry. Should have been here today, you know, about the third parcel.
I think it is on the revised application that was sent out to us, that we received after the initial mail.
So what do they have to do, Mr. Chairman? Turnabout or what?
Madam Planner?
Sorry, your question again?
How are they going to, like, the garbage truck's gotta go down there, the fire truck's gotta go down there, the Niagara Health has to go down there. How are they gonna turn around?
They will. So as a condition of the previous consents where it created the 3 lots, that part, it's on the survey plan, part 2 is being conveyed to the city, and the engineer, and they were working, the applicant is working with the city to, the city has designed a turning bulb that meets specifications for emergency vehicles. So that was done as part of the previous consent application.
Well, the only trouble is how the hell do you remember what you did a month ago, you know? So we should have been brought up to date. That's okay, I'm finished with it.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? Are we waiting for the letter, or shall we move forward? Mr. D'Angelo?
No, Mr. Mayor, it's noted in the report here that there was a letter received that raised, oh no, that was a different letter. This is just a consent to discharge a mortgage. We dealt with the consent for severing the parcels previously, so if there was an issue, it should have been discussed and voted on at that point in time, and it was voted on and moved forward. So we're sort of reliving a past report. I think we should just move forward, so that's why I'm going to make a motion that application, just want to make sure I get the right one, D10-08-2023, be approved based on the review of the pertinent information and comments presented at this hearing and having conducted a site visit for the reasons stated in the planning report. And I know in the past report, the conditions will have to be met, so they'll be dealt with through the engineering department. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder for that motion, please? Mr. Jackson, thank you. Mr. Pizzo, are you comfortable or moving forward, or would you like to see that letter?
I can't believe the railway didn't give them a hard time. If there's a letter on file from the, let it go.
Okay, if you're comfortable with the moving forward, because we can wait for the letter to come. Okay. All in favor of the motion? Thank you. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Moving on to other business. What is the latest on the stipend? Ashley, were you going to look into that for us? I can't remember. Nicholas?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I sent an email. This is with respect to the terms
we
of
received that.
reference, and I did send an email out. Essentially, the terms of reference were approved by council in January of this year. They don't make any reference to the ability to claim mileage. I'm not sure if Councillor D'Angelo, you had an update on that?
Mr. D'Angelo?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. I did bring this up at council. I had put a notice on the a notice of motion on the floor that I'll be bringing back a motion regarding amending the terms of reference so that it does include mileage, because that was pastly paid to the committee members. So I'll be bringing that forward to council. Now they're following very stringent the terms of reference, so because it wasn't identified in the terms of reference, it wasn't paid. So, but that, I will bring that motion forward so that mileage gets adjusted. And then there's a couple other items that I feel the committee should be availed to, so I'll bring that up at that motion. So the next council meeting is, I believe, September 12th. That's when I anticipate having the motion brought forward.
Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo, for looking after this for us.
Yes.
Mr. Vice Chair?
Yeah, the recommendation was to have a motion from this committee go to council, but I sort of just expedited the process because of the timing of the meetings. So that's why it's going to be at the September meeting. Had we made a motion here, then it would have been brought forward to the September meeting, and then we would be looking in October, November. So just to expedite the process, I brought it forward at council.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Pizzo?
Mr. Jackson has a hell of a problem. He can't hear that well, so.
You okay?
I do struggle a little, but I'm okay.
Good.
Thanks, Eddie.
But just, anytime you want us to repeat something,
Yes.
we're a
I-
team here, so just let us know.
Yeah, I don't hesitate, John.
Yeah.
But sometimes things are a little muffled, but, I'm usually pretty good.
Okay,
I turn my hearing aids up.
good. Thank you. Any other, I guess we have a vacancy. Is that, I don't know who wants to speak to that. There's a clerk sitting back there. There's a deputy clerk. There's a legislative assistant. We're getting crowded here, and there's Ashley over top of all of them.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, there is a vacancy, correct. At this point, I can certainly speak with the clerk, Mr. Trenum, about if there is an interest in filling that seat here, how to go about doing that. Oh,
He's sneaking up behind you, I hate to tell you. Mr. Trenum.
Mr. Chair, it's a good question. The vacancy that we currently have, the plan is to bring a memo to council on September 12th to ask them how they'd like to deal with that. There are some other vacancies on other committees as well, and given we were in the middle of the summertime, we decided not to deal with them, so we're going to bring it as a singular package. It's really up to council what they'd like to do. In the past, the committee has been smaller, so council could certainly amend the terms of reference to not fill that vacancy, or they could ask the clerk's office to go out and seek us to fill it. But it's council's decision how they prefer to continue with the committee.
Mr. Trenum, would it make any sense for this committee to take the lead in suggestions? I'm thinking we have past members that are not on the committee now that would fill in quickly, but
Certainly, Mr. Chair, we can certainly provide those comments from the committee if there's a direction or a preference. For example, if we liked having more voices on the committee and we want to express that to council, we can do that through including those comments in the report.
is another option to just leave it at 6?
Another option would be to leave it at 6.
Mr. Pizzo?
What does say in the, is there ruling that you have to take it to council, or can we direct?
So that's a good question, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Pizzo, essentially the position was given to Mr. Luciani. What council will do in this particular case is essentially declare the position vacant and then have the opportunity to deal with it. So that will either be change or amend the terms of reference to say bring it down to 6 and keep it at the current complement, or give direction to the clerk's office to reach out to the community and ask for applications to fill the seat.
I suppose the option in the past has been to keep it at an odd number to avoid 3-3 votes or 2-2 votes. A 3-3 vote's a no vote, so I guess there's no. Mr. Pizzo.
Does the bylaw state that we would have in the new member? Because some of your other committees, they can choose within who they want.
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, all the decisions about who's allowed to sit on the committee are all made by council. Sometimes the decisions that you see with the committees are who sits as chair or vice chair.
Well, one of the committees I belong, we could, somebody's absent, fill it within. Make the recommendation, it's in our bylaw.
Is that one of the city, I can speak to you offline about that one, Mr. Pizzo, but generally speaking, according to our procedural bylaw, for membership of the committee, that must be appointed by council to an advisory committee of council, or in this case, the Committee of Adjustment.
Mr. D'Angelo?
Yeah, just on that point, if there's individuals that you are aware are interested, I would just follow the process that council will determine on September 12th, either if there's going to maintain that seat open. They usually go through a public process in terms of applications.
Your understanding is that it needs to be a public process.
Well, that's what it was to get the members on here.
Yeah.
This committee cannot just pick a member, it goes through council. We have
Right.
to, as you notice, like mileage, you have to follow the terms of reference. You can't alter from it unless it's spoken to in the terms of reference. So, again, that's why on the September 12th meeting, it'll be a good time because we'll be dealing with the terms of reference and there might be alterations in terms of size or if council wants to move forward. I can't speak for the rest of council, so that's why I'm saying, as the clerk mentioned, there's going to be two options. One is to either reduce the committee or to fill the vacancy and then follow the rules that are in place at the clerk's office in terms of how we replace members on committees. Like other committees throughout Thorold, you can make suggestions, but ultimately it's council that appoints the members of the committee, so it does have to flow through council for appointment.
And this would be the last meeting before the September 12th meeting, last meeting of our committee.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Your deputy's doing a great job for us. Further questions, comments on any new business? Anything anybody wants to chat about? Staff? Next meeting, when's the date of the next meeting? September 21st is the next meeting. Motion to adjourn? Mr. Jackson, thank you.